Today, the Giants wrapped up their 2 joint practices with the Lions, and our New York Post Giants beat writer, Paul Schwartz, was at both sessions, and he's here with his practice reports. Paul, before we even get to talking about the team, of course, we got to talk about QB1. There were reports that Daniel Jones struggled day 1, but how did he look today in today's practice? Did he bounce back?
Well, some of those reports were from me. Yeah, they were some of my reports too. Yeah. Look, these joint practices are great. You know, they tell you so much about your team. So on Tuesday, the Giants offense comes out and not really culture shock, but they just did not play that well. Daniel missed some throws. You know, the freewheeling nature of their own training camp back in New Jersey was just not here. The Lions were more amped up. They're playing more physical coverage. You know, he overthrew one to Darren Waller, overthrew one to Jalen Hyatt. So, you know, I was told that Daniel Jones and Darren Waller both spoke to the offense a little bit and said, look, we got to pick it up. That's not characteristic of who we are. And Daniel Jones looked great on Wednesday. 4 for 4 in the first 7-on-7 period. Ball doesn't touch the ground. And then in the team period, 2 touchdown passes to Darius Slayton. On one of them, Matt Pert, the fill-in right tackle, did a really good job against Aiden Hutchinson. So that was impressive. 2 touchdown passes to Paris Campbell, 1 touchdown pass to Daniel Bellinger. He looked really good. They bounced back, and coming off the field, I got a chance to talk to Daniel, and he said, yeah, we were much better. He said, I made more throws. I took more advantage of my opportunities. So, and you know, look, it's a 1 joint practice in August, but the teammates I spoke to, Daniel Jones, Isaiah Hodgins, Darius Slayton, all said they thought it was important, the resiliency and the bounce back from a bad day 1, much better in day 2, and that's a good sign.
Yeah, that's great. That's music to Giants fans' ear. Their QB1 bouncing back, showing resiliency and having himself a day. So who else and what else impressed you most during these joint sessions?
I thought both the offense and defense were crisper and more aggressive on day 2, which you would expect. Sometimes in these joint practices, the home team, so to speak, on their home facility is a little more comfortable. The other team is coming in like the Giants did. They're getting up early. You know, I saw a line outside, a makeshift like trailer, which was used as a bathroom, you know, restrooms. You know, it's just different. It's kind of, you know, you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable is what they say. So I thought, the whole Giants as a group looked better on day 2. A couple of guys just stood out. I think the rookie Deonte Banks looks really good. On one play, he just bats a pass away to the receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, right?
Yep.
Good player. Deontay was all over him, just smacked the ball away with his left hand. That was a really good play. I thought Jason Pinnock had some pass deflections. The safety, who is you know, at this point could very likely be the starter in place of Julian Love, who is now at the Seahawks. He looks like a very rangy guy. You know, we saw a little bit of him last year. Dane Belton, the safety who's coming back, you know, and you know, trying to find a place on this team. He had 1 interception. He dropped another one, but I thought he played pretty well. Micah McFadden, second-year linebacker, he looks aggressive. You know, and by the way, there was a report out there the Giants were going to bring in Anthony Barr. You know, I guess he was a 4-time Pro Bowler with the Vikings, spent last year with the Cowboys. That is not an accurate report. He is not coming in for a visit. He just isn't. It's just not true. Did the Giants call about a lot of players? And maybe Anthony Barr was one of them. You know, are you interested in still playing? What's your health? Things like that. And they put him on a list. He's not coming into a visit from what I was told. So that's not there. I mentioned Matt Pert. You know, I mean, he's getting a lot of big snaps here now that Evan Neal's out in the concussion protocol. I thought he held his own. And look, old reliable Darius Slayton with some touchdown passes today. You know, he just looks like a really solid player.
Yeah, and that's great because a lot of those guys that you mentioned were making plays here in New Jersey. So it's good to see and good to know that they can make plays elsewhere against other teams. Looking forward, obviously Friday is the first preseason game where they'll line up and do it for real against the Lions. But did Coach Dable say anything about which starters could potentially play or sit? And what big names do you think that we won't see?
You've been around the Giants training camp, right, Brandon?
Yep.
What's your anticipation of what Brian Daboll laid out on Wednesday for Friday night's game? Huh?
Probably gave you guys absolutely nothing.
Okay, guys, here's our game plan for Friday night, right? Here's who's going to start. Here's the rotation. Here's who's going to play. That doesn't happen.
No, not with Dable.
It didn't happen at all. So my best guess is, look, last year the starters played a quarter. You know, Daniel Jones and the starters, most of the starters played a quarter against the Patriots, who were playing all their backups last year. Now, this is year number 2. I would not be surprised if the starters don't play. I would not be surprised if Daniel Jones does not play, because I think they got a lot of good work in here in Detroit. And I think, you know, is what they did on Wednesday going to have any effect on what Brian Dable's approach is on Friday night? I don't know, but they got a lot of good work in and played well. So he could say, you know what, I've seen enough. I would think that the starters will play cameo roles, maybe a series, a quarter at the most, but I wouldn't be surprised if most or all of them sit. And, you know, so as far as the big names, you know, do I think Darren Waller is going to play in the first preseason game? I do not, you know. I just don't. I don't think it's worth the risk, and I don't know if they have to do that. If they want to line him up and play a few plays, that's fine. But, you know, do I think Saquon Barkley is going to get a workload in Friday night against the Lions? I do not. Would I be surprised if Saquon Barkley plays at all? Yes, I would be surprised. So, you know, it's a preseason game, and that's why, like I keep mentioning, these joint practices are great, because the work that the mainstream guys get these 2 days supersedes anything that they will or probably won't get Friday night.
Yeah, and that's crazy because back, you know, during my time with the Giants or in the NFL, joint practices were people kind of turned their nose up against them because players didn't know how to control themselves. Yeah. They didn't know how to practice. Now you're seeing teams kind of leaning towards wanting to get a more controlled practice, controlled environment for their starters and for their players. As always, Paul, thank you for clearing up all the noise, and thanks for this practice report.
All right. Thanks, Brandon.